Roundtable. Well, it's time to put the spotlight on the FMCG space. And Rahul, I want your opinion on this, because I recall a couple of times ago we asked you, what about the consumption slowdown? And you said it's not a slowdown, it's the way India's consuming has changed. But let's put up all the data points first up for our viewers on the screen. FMCG was the sector of the week. You'll say, how come it's a sector of the week? The index itself is up only around 1%. I'll tell you what, ITC out there, well, that's the largest weight on the FMCG index. It has 35% of weightage. And for this month, it's down close to 0.5%. That's why that FMCG index is not looking like it's moved a lot. And the smaller names have moved the most. Britannia, Dabur, Marico, between them, they have only 7-8% of the FMCG index. Let's run you through the data points. What played out in the past week in particular? The commentary on the rural economy was very, very encouraging, and that's after very, very long. Some of the management's talking about green shoots. We also heard a couple of managements say that rural business, well, it outpaced the urban business, and we haven't heard that for the last 3 years or so. That's what some of the sell-side reports suggest. And now we're bracing for a good monsoon. So that's one point, rural economy coming back. The next point is they're suddenly talking about growth, whether it was Dabur, Britannia, Godrej Consumer. They're talking about high single-digit growth. Some of them are talking about some price increases as well. So growth is coming back. And after a while, even Britannia on the call sounded very, very optimistic. Point number 3 is the premiumization. Well, that seems to be a structural story that's playing out there. And, as India moves from, bottom of a pyramid consumption story to maybe a mid-income country, you're going to see the premiumization theme that picks up pace and grows at a faster clip as well. And we are at a nascent stage out there. So that's another point. And margins could look up. Operating leverage, as I told you, premiumization as well will play out. And there will be some kind of inflation which will help in the selling price. So some inflation in the system is good, actually. So you'll have some volume growth coupled with some price increase, which will brace ourselves up for revenue growth in double digits. Now, elections, well, that's the core point, right? Everyone's talking about elections. And having a longer election, particularly in summer, isn't such a bad thing. And some brokerage reports suggest that maybe, in fact, the positive outcome of this election could show up in the Q1 numbers with growth, with margins. Under ownership is another theme, because if you look at FIIs and DIs, well, they have close to 5 to 6% of their weightage to the FMCG space. And FMCG sector in the Nifty 200 itself is close to 7.5%. So there is a bit of under ownership out there. And let's wind this down with a valuation chart. You look at Dabur, HUL, Nestle, as well as Tata Consumer. In comparison to what they've traded at in the last 5 years on an average, they're trading relatively lower. Well, that's about all the points, Rahul, that fired up some of these stocks. What's your view on these FMCG stocks? Out of nowhere, a Marico, a Dabur, rallying 10%, almost 10% in a single session. Even Britannia was up. Would you jump on, or do you think the market's running ahead of itself?
No, so I think since it's a Friday, you should have plotted the alcohol stocks over
that
the last
week. That I did last week, actually.
It's been the best, it's the best performing consumer sector. I think if you look at Radico, Globus, United Spirits, United Breweries,